Hey guys, welcome. We are on step one of the Lean Kitchen, and we're getting into the second criteria for doing the kitchen clean out, right? Now, sodium is a huge thing. First of all, having too much sodium, it's not bad, it's all about balance. And there's two ways that sodium kind of can mess you up if you eat too much of it. So the first is that if you have too much sodium, it could ruin the balance of electrolytes in your body, right? Because your body, your nerves, your heart, it needs a balance of sodium to potassium. And so without that, you can actually, in extreme cases, have arrhythmias like heart attacks, and you can have swelling, bloating, just, water retention from having too much salt. The second thing is that in a similar light with the swelling and the water retention, salt can make you thirsty. Now, being thirsty isn't bad, drinking water is fantastic, but most people confuse thirst for hunger. So if they feel thirsty, they end up eating. And so if you have too much salt, it can put a strain on your heart. It could cause bloating, making you look, pudgy, bigger, and it could lead you to actually overeat. Now, how much salt do you need? Well, the recommendation, the range, is between 1,500 and 2,300 milligrams per day. What that basically means, and the really practical way to look at it, is that number is about the same amount of calories you need in a day, right? 1,500, 2,300, and you're eating, a 2,000 calorie diet. It's pretty much the same. Especially, again, because we're not eating processed foods all the time that have this added salt in them. So, again, it's really simple. I have a can of beans to show you this, because beans are definitely something, it's a food staple that I have, and I'll show you some cool stuff you can do with them in the meal prep section. But what happens here is that a lot of them have excess salt. These don't. So calories is about 110, and the sodium's 125. So it's roughly equal. You don't need to go crazy here. You just need to make sure it roughly matches up. Make sure, I've seen cans that have about 100 calories per serving with, 400 to 500 milligrams of sodium. And it's crazy. Now, a lot of people say, okay, I'll lower my sodium intake by not cooking with sodium or not adding it at the table. That's a good intention, but honestly, what happens and what the research has shown is that about 70% of the salt that you eat in the average day is found in processed or pre-made foods. So that means from things you get at restaurants, from stuff you pick up at the supermarket, all of that stuff is already loaded with sodium. So you want to make sure you're not habitually overeating that stuff by checking to see if it's equal to the calories. Now, as a note, this works for pretty much everything except what I call meal enhancers or condiments, right? If you use something in a small amount, then you can have a little bit more sodium in it, especially because the calories won't really match up. So my favorite example of this is hot sauce. You use a little bit of hot sauce, it can have, 5-6 times as much grams of sodium, milligrams of sodium, to the calories, but it's okay because you're only using a dash or two. Same thing with ketchup, with barbecue sauce, all that stuff. It can be higher in sodium, but the way I consider it is that you're using it in a small amount. It's analogous to just adding a little bit of salt at the table, right? Because salt isn't bad. You need salt. You just need to keep it in perspective and keep it balanced. So you can have great tasting food and lose weight. Cool? So just to recap, basically with salt, you want to keep the milligrams of salt roughly equal to the calories per serving, and you'll be set. Alright, now we're going to cruise on to our third video, talk about sugar.